Leftist liberal support for Joe Biden is destroying feminism and exposing Me Too as fake. That's what we'll be talking about on today's video. There's no question about it. We're going to take a look at the undeniably rampant corruption that plagues institutional feminism and how that corruption is destroying the feminist movement as a whole. I think you're going to absolutely love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. If you're looking for a daily white pill of encouragement to help you counter all the ridiculous nonsense, the fake news that's out there from our corporatist globalist media, then you have found your oasis in this channel. We analyze current events in light of some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You're going to absolutely love being a part of this channel and interacting with this network of conservatives from all over the world. They're simply the best. Now, before we get into the destruction of feminism by liberals themselves, I'm excited to tell you about what's called the Christendom Curriculum, which is a brand new Christian nationalist homeschool curriculum. Christendom Curriculum is the homeschool version of this channel's message of hope and optimism that we now have the privilege of passing down to our children. It's just so exciting. The Christendom Curriculum is a full K-12 homeschool curriculum that gives your kids a solid education in the Bible and the great books of Western civilization. But what really makes the Christendom Curriculum truly unique is its emphasis on Christian nationalism and winning the culture wars. And to that end, it is the perfect homeschool curriculum for any fan of this channel. Now, they're offering a crazy low price for a one-year membership for your entire family, so don't wait another minute. Click on the link below or go to ChristendomHomeschool.com to join. Tell them that Dr. Steve sent you. You'll be glad that you did. All right, gang, let's dive in here. You know, life is so ironic, is it not? Who would have ever thought that feminism would ultimately be brought down, destroyed, imploded, buried by feminists themselves? But that's precisely what's happening right before our very eyes. Our left-wing liberal adversaries are actually destroying themselves. All we have to do is just sit back and watch and butter the popcorn. Now, you most likely know by now that the whole Joe Biden sexual assault allegations have just blown up out of control. We just did a video on that a couple of days back. Despite the mainstream Marxist media's most valiant attempts at burying Tara Reade's accusations against Biden of sexual assault, despite their best attempts at ignoring the whole story, or my favorite from our own senator here in Delaware, Chris Coons, who was at the forefront of the sexual assault allegations against Judge Brett Kavanaugh, demanding that he resigns. Coons is now saying that the media has fully investigated the allegations against Biden, found nothing wrong. I mean, this actually goes beyond lying at this point. But nevertheless, as much as the media has done everything they possibly could to pretend that these accusations are a non-story, it is coming out. The story is exploding out of control. And the Marxist media, the left-wing activists disguised as journalists, are clearly losing control of it. Now, just to briefly recap, a woman by the name of Tara Reade has accused Joe Biden of inappropriate behavior when she worked in the Senate office back in 1993. So she claims that Biden touched her inappropriately when she was in her mid-20s working for him. She claimed that Biden pinned her against the wall of his office and that he did, in fact, sexually assault her. And now we have newly discovered evidence from almost 30 years ago, which offers some pretty dramatic and surprising support for Tara Reade's claims. We did a video on this, as it claims Tara Reade claimed that she informed her mother of the alleged assault right after it happened, and that her mother called into Larry King's CNN show that was on air at the time to talk about it. Well, as it so happens, a clip of a 1993 episode of Larry King Live on CNN did in fact have it surfaced. It had an unnamed woman calling in, talking about her daughter was a staffer at Washington, D.C. for a very prominent senator, and her daughter wanted to report that she was having problems but didn't know where to go because of just how prominent the senator was. Now, to be fair, the woman on the phone did not mention sexual assault explicitly, but this call would have been right at the time, 1993, that the sexual assault happened. And thus it offers corroboration for at least part of Tara Reade's testimony. Moreover, we now have a number of women who have come forward and corroborated Tara Reade's testimony as well. And so at the very least, what all of this amounts to is the inconvenient truth for left-wing liberals everywhere that, as the Washington Examiner recently noted, Tara Reade's sexual assault allegations now officially has more evidence than Christine Blasey Ford's accusations against Judge Brett Kavanaugh 2 years ago. But while those allegations, the allegations against Kavanaugh, unleashed a media feeding frenzy of accusations of guilt and accusations of even more sexual predatory behavior on the part of Kavanaugh, all of which was completely unfounded and untrue, while Christine Ford's accusations were enough to unleash this media mob demanding Kavanaugh's head on a platter, Tara Reade's accusations have, of course, been completely and totally ignored. And not just by the Marxist media, but also by the self-appointed feminist leadership of the #MeToo movement. You remember them, right? Shall we take a little stroll through memory lane about what the self-righteous virtue signalers on the feminist left said about the whole Brett Kavanaugh situation? Here is Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, who, keep in mind, just endorsed Joe Biden as a Democratic presidential nominee. Here's what she had to say about the completely unsubstantiated accusations against Kavanaugh by Christine Ford.
Her account is credible, and I believe her.
We know that Judge Kavanaugh was not honest when he came to the Senate Judiciary Committee.
She spoke her truth so bravely, so strongly, so honestly, and we believed her.
Judge Kavanaugh has not asked to have the FBI review these claims. Is that the reaction of an innocent person? It is not.
To refuse to treat this properly and try to confirm Judge Kavanaugh at any cost tells women that, once again, they are not important and they are not to be believed.
I believe her because she's telling the truth.
Now, again, keep in mind, this is a defender of Christine Ford, who, according to Gillibrand, so bravely, so strongly, so honestly spoke truth to power. This New York senator, she just endorsed a man for president who was even more credibly accused of sexual assault. But she's not alone. Here's Hillary Clinton, the gift that keeps on giving. This is what Clinton had to say about the whole Kavanaugh fiasco.
I want to ask you a question about Dr. Ford for a minute. There are a lot of Democrats who, and a lot of other people, who are absolutely certain, 100%, her recollection is the absolute truth. I'm asking this as a lawyer. Do you feel 100% certain that the events that she described are true and are therefore disqualifying?
Look, I watched as much of her testimony as I could. I found her very credible. You have to ask yourself, why would anybody put themselves through this if they did not believe that they had important information to convey to the Senate? She basically said that. She thought it was her civic duty. So I found her presentation, I found her willingness to say, I don't remember that, but I remember this, to be very convincing. And I felt a great swell of, pride that she would be willing to put herself out there under these circumstances.
Again, Clinton, like Gillibrand, has officially endorsed Joe Biden. Funny how the very concerns about sexual assault victims have all but disappeared from Clinton's memory, but no doubt her husband had a little something to do with that. And then, of course, you have Alyssa Milano, the D-list actor turned rabid left-wing feminist activist. Here's what she had to say about the whole Kavanaugh fiasco.
And I think we are in a time right now that is very gray, right? This is the Me Too generation. What is happening right now is we are defining boundaries that have never been defined before. So whereas Trump might say that white men have it very difficult right now, I'm saying that women, young people, have had it difficult for generations and generations and generations, and we will not be silenced any longer. And if that means that men have a hard time right now, then I'm sorry. This is the way the pendulum has to shift for us to have equality and security. in our country and within our societal views of what it means to be a woman. We are considered less than, and we cannot stand for it anymore.
Now, you heard it with your own ears, right? Alyssa Milano was asked to respond to President Trump's concerns that young men, not white men, Milano misquoted him, young men, he said, are having a very hard time right now with all of this potential being unfairly accused of sexual misconduct. And in response, you heard what she said. She actually came out, Milano came out and said that it doesn't frankly matter if an innocent man is publicly destroyed and punished for a crime that he did not commit against women. And that's because it's the inevitable, shall we say, collateral damage of the reparations necessary for all the harm done to women over the years. This is the necessary consequence of equalizing this process that we're going through now between men and women. And frankly, it doesn't matter if an innocent man is destroyed, because it's all part of making up for the fact that innocent women have been destroyed throughout history as well. If you think white men, again, she should have said young men, but if you think white men have it hard now, what about the centuries of oppression that women have had to endure? So deal with it. Now, you heard that with your own ears, right? Well, what's she saying now? Her candidate, the very candidate that she supports for president in 2020, has now been Me Too'd. And is Alyssa Milano disavowing Biden, even if he's innocent, as a necessary corrective for all the evil that's been perpetrated on women for centuries? No. Milano has demanded that Biden be treated innocent until actually proven guilty, which of course is an appeal to the very due process that she so vehemently denied Kavanaugh. Now, I think Tucker Carlson said it best. Okay, so here's how Tucker assesses all of this blatant and frankly nauseating feminist hypocrisy. Institutional feminism, the so-called feminist movement, is fake. It was never about women or believing women. They don't believe women. They don't care about women. They care only about power. And that's why Senator Gillibrand of New York was friends with Harvey Weinstein and Bill Clinton. That's why she is friends with Joe Biden now. He's absolutely right. The institutional feminism is perhaps the single most corrupt movement in the world. You can add feminism to the growing list of grievance groups whose corruption knows no bounds. These feminist leaders have officially joined the ranks of people like Al Sharpton, who even liberal outlets like Vice admit is a huge fraud, who has enriched himself by leveraging his supposed civil rights concerns for his own financial gain. Very, very similar to the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which even USA Today is referred to as a scam. The SPLC has perhaps more than any other organization turned grievance politics into an industry, and a very, very lucrative industry. The SPLC makes tens of millions of dollars a year smearing conservative organizations and causes. In fact, a former staff member of the SPLC writing for The New Yorker said that within the SPLC itself, workers called it the poverty palace, playing off the whole assumption that people have that the SPLC is a small organization run on a shoestring budget, as it so valiantly represents the oppressed, when in fact it's nothing more than a business scheme that's been making its executives and higher-ups very, very rich. Both Sharpton and the SPLC have turned left-wing grievance politics into a business model. They've learned that donors and businesses and left-wing politicians, right, are willing to pay big bucks for their so-called services in slandering right-wing political opponents as racists and bigots. The simple fact is that these left-wing grievance organizations are some of the most corrupt organizations on the planet. And that corruption is becoming more and more apparent to more and more people. Take, for example, the whole feminist racket, which only the Marxists at CNN and MSNBC and the New York Times actually take seriously, right? Like the left-wing buffoon from The Atlantic interviewing Hillary. An Ipsos poll from just last year found that most women, in fact, a supermajority of women in the United States, don't even consider themselves feminists anymore. Only about a third of American women actually claim to be feminists. The movement is a joke. It's a complete and total farce. The movement is a joke, and the institutional organizations are corrupt to the core. And so what we're seeing is nothing less than left-wing liberals actually destroying their own left-wing liberalism. And it is beautiful. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out the video I just uploaded on the total and complete humiliation of CNN's Jim Acosta, who's forced to sit in the back row of the latest press briefing. You're going to absolutely love it. I'll let it all speak for itself. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.